Babangida slams critics of Nigerian military. Recently, former military dictator General Ibrahim Babangida presented the military as the better achievers in governance in Nigeria. He couldn't have said otherwise as a soldier and former military leader. On the other hand, I hold a doctorate in political science, meaning there is no way I would never want to have military rule as against constitutional rule. It is also means there is a difference in orientation, as there must necessarily be between a soldier and a political scientist. For this reason, I should be one of many Nigerians to take note of the problems military intervention caused for this nation. This is more so as some of the decisions soldiers took led to disrupt in my education. Counting the numbers of months I stayed at home because of industrial action instigated by the decision soldiers took when they were in power. I spent through extra session in the university. It also ensured I missed the NYSC call-up by another 6 months. I haven't seen a situation that compares to this under the constitutional rule. So, my grudge against the military in government is deeply personal, since the retired general said it in a recent TV interview. What said that it is silly of anyone to say that the military intervention caused problem for Nigeria. It means he is on one page and I am on the other page. There were different angles to the interview Babangida had that time. The interviewer tried his best. It was just that there were questions I thought he would have hit on the head, but he didn't. For instance, he made allusion on how politicians in power often muffle the opposition, since the latter don't have any means of removing the politician in power. They appeal to the military to take over. I expected the interviewer to ask Babangida if he was ever approached by a politician to plan a coup. If they did, who were the politicians? Such personal question would have added to our knowledge. The interviewer did not reach the finishing line. There was also the question that about the military in power working with civilians. What the interviewer wanted to bring out wasn't so clear, as he let the question hang. This allowed the former military dictator to respond whichever way he liked, talking about how many of the decisions which the military took were done in consultation with a civilian. I did not see what insight that inconclusive question brought to the interviewer, except to give the retired soldier the opportunity to not take the blame for the decision he took which Nigerians don't like, but such thing could happen to the journalist in the course of the interview, so I could understand what transpired on the two occasions that I pointed out. Why sometimes in 2002 I was the moderator of a current affairs program on the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria Ibadan network station. I recall that on two occasions I asked my panelist a question, and at the tail end of which I did not briskly wipe up, making it a clear, concise question, but my panelists are help out by picking it up from where I trail off, providing answers to what they thought I was talking to, what I was asking them. Now back to Babangida's question was asked, and which he made the comment that Nigerians who held a particular opinion about the military were silly. Now note that the opinion is subjective, especially if you were not an academic who has carried out research and come up with the findings that are verifiable. It is for this reason that one would wonder why other people's opinion on the matter should be double silly. This is more so as a frontline player under a military regime is the one making the judgment. Does the court judge its verdict in the case in which he is a defendant? Well, the Civil War happened. It has been argued that if the military takeover of 1966 did not happen, we might have avoided the Civil War. I concur. Why? The Battle of Ego that saw two soldiers in Lagos and in the East taking a irreconcilable position would probably have not happened. A civilian premier in the East would probably not have declared independence of Biafra in the face of inadequate arms and ammunition. He and the Prime Minister in Lagos would probably have sat at a table to resolve contentious issues amicably. However, with someone like Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe as the president, the chances are that under the civilian government, he would have exercised more influence in the entire saga and ensure amicable settlement. Even the Civil War, we know, is the one-way traffic flowing from the military coup in 1966. Aside from that, would the iconic Daily Times have been destroyed if the military government didn't forcefully take it over? If a free and fair election wasn't cancelled in 1993, two of Nigeria's illusion son MK Abiola and Shehu Yaradua wouldn't have died when they did. Moreover, powers for the region was gradually taken to the center from 1966 onward. The centralization of this power is the root of the agitation which has led to much division in the nation at that time. Would this have happened if Soja didn't tamper with the devolved power and resources that gave competent apart the opportunity to develop their own pace pre-1966? Now, the devolve the power back to where they were taken has become a problem. As things stand, the nation is so polarized that we need to work really hard to change the present course. That is the extent of harm military intervention did, and regarding which Babangida says that whoever says it is so silly. I have always respected the retired general as an intelligent person, and it will help his argument if he regarded the views expressed in the interview essentially as his own humble submission in the national discourse that must have people for and against. Wow, this is so worded. Babangida said whoever is referring to the military as that whoever says the military has not done good in the country are so silly. But remember that they cause many havoc in the country. They cause the cancellation of election even after the election was free and fair. In 1993, the election was cancelled between MK Abiola and Shehu Yaradua. They have died now, and they also caused civil war. They caused the civil war then in 1966. And why is Babangida washing his hands and saying that what they have done in this country is the best? The military regime was the best. That is what Babangida has been saying, and he stands on it. Thank you for listening, and I will see you on the other news. Bye for now.